got that something, baby, that I can go without, just like a poison in me. You're all that I'm about. Loving the highs, don't mind the lows. It's getting out of my control. I want that something, baby, 'cause I can go without.
Hey guys, welcome back to What Was Mommy Thinking? My name is Crystal and I'm so glad that you're here. If you are new, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the fun. If you're not new, thanks so much for sticking around and coming back for another video. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. We are going to do a cook with me, which you already knew, right? It's just been a minute, y'all. It's been a hot minute since I've done a cook with me, and it's something I really enjoy doing. So I hope that you like today's meal. We are making Instant Pot white bean chicken chili, and y'all, this is a staple in my house. This is a family favorite, gluten-free, low sodium, meets everybody's needs, and is delicious. So I'm going to call out the ingredients. I'll tell you what it takes for a single batch if you're only making a single batch. I am making a double batch. I have the larger Instant Pot. I think it's 8 quarts, but we're going to get a double batch of this made to feed the masses. So in a single batch, you would start with 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts. You saw me put in 4. Once we get those in, you want to add 1 can of black beans and 1 can of white beans. I am adding 2 no salt added black beans and 2 low sodium Great Northern beans that have been rinsed and very well drained because we don't want to add any of that in. Once those are in, the next ingredient it calls for is a chopped medium onion. Now, this recipe is from Natasha's Kitchen. It's a great website. I will leave the recipe linked in the description box below. And in her instructions, she says that you want to put the ingredients in the Instant Pot in a specific order. So once I get my 2 onions, because again, I'm doubling into my Instant Pot, it's time to add the last 2 canned ingredients. So you're going to add a can of whole kernel corn. It doesn't matter what brand, whatever. You could even use like the fire roasted if you wanted, or the one that has peppers in it if you wanted, but you just don't want to drain it. You want to put it in there with all of the juice that's in the can. So I'm going to go ahead and add a second one. And then the last canned ingredient is the Rotel diced tomatoes with green chilies. There is a mild version of this and I believe a medium version of this. I buy the variety that of course is no salt added, just like the corn that I'm using. And that makes this dish super low sodium for my son. So the ingredient that we're going to add after we get the tomatoes in there is going to be some chicken broth. So these Rotel are going in. Don't drain those either, just dump them right in. My chicken broth that I use, I prefer the unsalted from Great Value. We use it when I don't have any homemade stock or broth made, which I don't right now. And so you're going to see me add that in right after I dump this last can of tomatoes. And it only calls for a 1/2 cup. So if you're making a single batch, it's a 1/2 cup. If you're making a double batch, you want to put in a full cup. So I'm going to add a full cup of chicken broth, and then it's going to be time to add some yummy, yummy spices. The spices are something that you can play around with if you've got little kids and they don't like spicy food, or if you don't like spicy food, you could definitely adjust these to fit your family. And if you really don't like spicy food, I would try using regular diced tomatoes instead of the diced tomatoes with green chilies. The first spice we're going to put in is 1 teaspoon of ground cumin. I do a generous teaspoon. I'm going to do 2 of those. Everybody in my family likes their food a little bit spicy, but not like ridiculous spicy. So I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of that. And the next spice is chili powder, good old chili powder. So the recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of that. I'm going to add again 2 generous teaspoons of that seasoning. And then the last seasoning is Hidden Valley Ranch Dry Ranch Dressing Mix. Now, you can buy this in the packet. If you do, it's 1 packet that is meant to make 16 ounces of ranch dressing. If you don't have it in the packet and you buy it bulk like we do, I use 3 tablespoons per recipe. So that means I need a total of 6 this time. And this is where the sodium in this meal for our family comes from. So this does have sodium in it, and we do account for that when we ration out the servings so that we know how much sodium there is per serving. But it is really manageable and drastically less than it would be, and my son loves it. The last ingredient is an 8-ounce block of cream cheese. Now, guys, full disclosure, I messed this up. You're supposed to take a big spoon and stir all of this before you put the cream cheese in because it is meant to lay on top of all of the other ingredients. I did not do that, so you're going to see me figure that out here in a second and then go, well, it's too late now, and take a big spoon and stir it as best I can with keeping as much of the cream cheese on top as I can. I will tell you that the smaller that you chop the cream cheese in cube-wise, the better it turns out and the less effort you have to put it in at the end by kind of like smushing what's left of the cream cheese so that it dissolves down in that hot liquid. So once you get everything in, you get your cream cheese in, everything's stirred and ready to go, that's it. We've dirtied a spoon, we've dirtied whatever you chopped your onions with, and we've dirtied our Instant Pot, and that's it. And we've got a ton of food. So I'm going to get my lid that I have laying on my toaster back there and make sure that your Instant Pot lid is seated really well so you don't get any errors. And then we want to make sure that the valve on the back of the lid is set to close. If you leave it on vent, ain't nothing going to happen, right? So make sure that is, and the recipe calls for 20 minutes. Because I'm doubling it, I'm doing 22 minutes, but you do not have to do that. When it's all done, you want a natural release for 10 minutes and then go ahead and let the pressure off. When you remove the lid, please be careful so that none of that condensation on the lid comes off and burns you on the arm. I've had that happen and it hurts really bad. So give it a little bit of a stir. All you're doing right now is trying to find those chicken breasts so you can get them out and get them on a plate and shred them. Everybody shreds chicken a little bit differently. Whatever works for you. Some people put it in a bowl and use a hand mixer. Some people use forks like I'm going to do. And some people have those fancy like Edward Scissorhand things where they just go to town and shred really fast. I don't have those. I think they're kind of cool, but I don't have them. I did have to get tongs to get the rest of the chicken because it's just falling apart. It's so perfectly done that it's just falling apart. So we're going to get those 4 pieces of chicken out, and then the next thing that you're going to see me do is what I told you about with the cream cheese, because you can still see those white cubes of cream cheese in that hot liquid. I need to take my spoon and take the back of it and kind of push those pieces of cream cheese up against the sides and the bottom of the pot. It's already hot and it'll be really easy to kind of smush them down to nothing. And then as I stir, it'll incorporate back in and take what you see now as kind of a broth and make it a thicker, kind of creamier sauce for the soup and make it more like a chili instead of a soup. So I'm going to do that a couple of times here, and then we're going to go over, and as my friend Freddie on Struggle Meals would say, we're going to grab our Fork Shredder 2021 and its buddy, and we're going to go to town getting that chicken shredded up. When I shred the chicken, I really do like to shred it as thinly as possible and get it in the smallest bits as possible. Number one, so that it's easier to eat and nobody's chewing or choking on any of it. And number two, I just don't like the big chunks in there. So we get it nice and finely shredded up, and then we'll get it back in here. And by then, the rest of this cream cheese will have sort of melted down and the broth will be a little bit thicker. So I want to tell you guys why this recipe is also another reason why it's a family favorite of ours. This is a super versatile recipe. You can take the leftovers from this and do so many things with it. First of all, it freezes beautifully. You can put it in containers and freeze it, and it'll stay for a few months like that. You can take it out straight from the freezer to the microwave. It's delicious. I was a little worried about that because of the dairy, the cream cheese in it, but it worked out beautifully. Secondly, you can take the leftovers, drain the liquid off, so kind of, put it through a strainer a little bit and make the most delicious chicken nachos you have ever had. You want to make sure most of the liquid's gone so you don't make your tortilla chips mushy. Ooh, I almost said that word. And then you just take your tortilla chips, spread them over the pan, put the drained mixture over top of it, bake it for a few minutes, and then cover it with cheese and your favorite toppings, put it back in for a few minutes, and it is thebomb.com. You can also take leftovers and put them inside of a baked potato, smother the top with cheese, and it is delicious. And the other thing I like to do with the leftovers is drain some of the liquid off and make enchiladas with them. This makes a delicious stuffing for enchiladas. So again, very versatile, great way to use your leftovers in multiple ways that everybody will like. And it's just delicious all the way around. So now that I'm just about done shredding up all of my chicken, I'm going to make sure I don't have any pieces that are too big, and then I'm going to get it back in the Instant Pot and give it a stir. And like I told you guys, my plan was to prep this and then just let it cool off in the Instant Pot long enough for me to be able to put it in containers to get it in the fridge. But you know, my boys have the detection of a SWAT canine, and they smelled this from upstairs and came a running. So I do have to serve them up some of this for them to enjoy. And luckily, because I did make a double batch, there was so much that there was plenty left over. We did eat it for dinner on Tuesday, and there was even a little bit left for my youngest son to have for leftovers for lunch today, because this is one of his favorites. Once you put that shredded chicken back in the Instant Pot, you want to give it a good stir and incorporate that chicken into it so that you're getting good bites with all of the beans and the onions and the corn and the chicken all kind of combined with the tomatoes in there. You want to make sure it's really good and incorporated, and it is fantastic. So what you guys going to see me do is I'm going to grab a bowl and serve up my little Jackson a bowl of this. He was first in line, and so he got served up first. The way that he eats his was with just a little bit of light sour cream on top, and then some shredded cheddar cheese and tortilla chips on the side. But you can dress this however you want to dress it. You can put chopped cilantro or chopped avocado or scoop of guacamole or diced tomatoes or pico de gallo or whatever it is that you like. You could throw that in here. And if you are a vegetarian, you could use tofu in the place of the chicken. I would just put it in once you've make it the soup the exact same way, but leave the chicken out. And when it's done, stir it and get the cream cheese incorporated. Chop up your tofu, put that in, put the lid back on, and just let it sit in that hot liquid for 10 or 15 minutes. And I bet it would be amazing. And once you let it sit in the fridge and let those flavors marry, I bet it would be even better. So this is a bowl that I made for my Jackson with some sour cream and some cheese. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for cooking with me, and I hope that you are having a great day. Take care of yourselves, be well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye, guys.